Next to me, I have something pretty special, and it comes from one of my favorite eras, from one of my favorite manufacturers. Me personally, having been born in 2000, I'm now 25 years old. I grew up with mid to late 2000s GM. That's exactly what I have next to me. This is a 2009 Cadillac CTS-V, known as the V2, but this isn't your ordinary CTS-V. No, this one has something pretty cool option, but I can't even use the word option because it is what would have come standard, not as the option. But first, I want to take a very special thank you to Mike.Dwyer over at More Cadillac of Chantilly, Virginia, for giving me some time with this CTS-V. Guys, if you are interested in this particular CTS-V or any new Cadillac product, V product at that, at or below MSRP, then I'll be sure to have Mike and More Cadillac's information on screen as well as in the description box down below. But with that said, let's get into it. Under the hood of what could otherwise be mistaken as regular traffic if you're not a car enthusiast is a supercharged 6.2 liter V8 dubbed the LSA. Some people like to say this engine was derived from the LS9. I disagree. This does not have a titanium valve train, and it also does not have a dry sump oiling system. However, it is still a beast of an engine. So if you had a manual transmission, which is what would have come standard, you could do 0 to 60 if you're a good driver in about 4.3 seconds. The auto was a little bit faster at about 4 seconds flat from 0 to 60, but this one, you know, the tires are pretty old on this thing, and I don't know if it could really hook to 60 in about 4 seconds, but it would be a heck of a lot of fun. Now, again, this not being derived from the ZR1's engine, this could be dubbed a 4-door Camaro sedan. A few years later, in 2012, Chevrolet introduced the Camaro ZL1, also being powered by the LSA power plant. I believe that one made about 580 horsepower, so a little bit of an increase over the 09 CTS-V, but nonetheless, this is still a very, very quick car. I like to think that Cadillac thought of the CTS-V as an afterthought because when you take a look in the engine bay, there is very little space to do anything. One of my best friends has a 2005 CTS-V, basically the same chassis, I believe, and he was doing headers, and I remember that being not so fun of a job. There's very little space here to do headers, but I do know that this, with the 1.9 liter supercharger on it, is very tunable, very mod friendly, and with simple bolt-ons and a pulley, you can do 550, 600 wheel pretty easily. Listen, I don't want to bore you guys too much with facts. I'm sure there are tens, if not hundreds of videos of CTS-Vs on the internet doing in-depth reviews. So if you guys want to go watch an in-depth review, this isn't necessarily the video for that. More so, I'm just highlighting what a beast of a sedan this is compared to like the BMW M5 or the Mercedes E55 AMG. This was America's answer to those German performance sedans, and I'd say they do a pretty dang good job. I believe you have 6 piston Brembos there in the front. Those look like 4 piston Brembos in the rear. And I don't know if you guys know too much about these CTS-Vs. However, the CTS-V1 had a glass differential, wheel hop galore. This was fixed here with the CTS-V2. Stronger diff, better suspension in the rear, less wheel hop, not only more traction, but you're not going to worry about blowing up your diff. So overall, let's talk about this design. Very good looking sedan, just kind of like an evolution of the CTS-V1. And one thing that's interesting is my grandma had a 2013 Cadillac SRX, nothing related to this, but this smells like my grandma's Caddy. You know, it just has that smell. And this isn't your grandpa's Caddy, this is the Mac Daddy Caddy. Because when you step inside, you notice a little V logo there. You notice a V door sill there. When you come over to here, well, this one's pretty special because this one has the 6-speed manual transmission option. And obviously with that, you're going to get those 3 pedals. And from what I read online, please do not quote me to this, but I believe between 2009 and 2014, there were approximately 1,400 CTS-V sedans produced with the 6-speed manual transmission. That basically equates to less than 10% of CTS-V sedans having the manual. Every other, or all the other 90% were spec'd with the slush box 6-speed automatic, which in today's day and age gets absolutely walked by a 10-speed or a dual clutch. So, you know, obviously back in the day, people were wanting the new thing, wanting the automatic. But one thing that is interesting about the CTS-V1 is I believe since the early 1940s, the CTS-V1 was the first Cadillac to only be offered with a manual transmission, no automatic transmission option. That is where the CTS-V2 came in, and they gave you the 6-speed automatic transmission option for a little bit more money. Seemed like the majority of buyers at the time ended up opting for the 6-speed manual. It is interesting, and here's a little tidbit of information. This particular CTS-V is a one owner. The guy didn't trade it in, he sold it to more Cadillac. It was an 80-year-old man, original owner. This thing only has 12,800 miles on it. That's less than 1,000 miles put on it per year. So you would think this is probably, or was probably, his retirement gift to himself. I want to point out a couple of things that have to do with performance, and then also just some weird features with the CTS, I guess, in general. With the CTS-V here on the steering wheel, this is your traction control / stability control stuff. So you only have really 3 options. You have on, off, and competitive mode, all toggled by that little switch there on the steering wheel. I think that is very, very cool and very interesting to see in a Cadillac. Another thing that I find pretty interesting is come over to here. If you try to start the vehicle, it has a key fob, but what you do is basically turn it like you have a key and it fires right up. Very interesting. And then another piece that just kind of has to do more with the CTS is the extending navigation screen. So just very interesting little things from late 2000s GM. And then also one thing that's pretty cool is that you get a 6,100 RPM red line, but one thing that's kind of cool is that to keep track and make sure you don't bang off the limiter, you get those little red lights that increase depending on your RPM. So that is very cool little information there. And then also even fewer CTS-Vs were optioned with the sunroof delete. This one just so happens to have the sunroof. And I'm not doing a sales pitch. I just think it's so cool to see one of these that's basically brand new, but also 16 years old. All right, setting off in the CTS-V. We'll do a little acceleration here first. Got to be careful because the tires here are not that great. Yep, spinning already. Didn't even have to get on it that much. Very quiet. Tons and tons of torque. Clutch feels very nice, very light. It is a twin disc clutch from factory. One thing that is very interesting to me about the mid to late 2000s, even early teens GM products, is that they are all very quiet. They didn't really get loud until the introduction of the C7 Z06 or even the 6th generation Camaro. Everything else, like I have a stock, had a stock, don't no longer. I have it, but it's not stock anymore. I had a stock 5th gen Camaro SS, so quiet. And I even got it with the Chevy Performance Part exhaust on it, axleback, and it was still quiet. It really woke up with headers. But I also have now totally stock 2006 Z06 Corvette, so quiet from factory. And that even has the NPP exhaust, so I need to put headers on it or something. This thing needs headers. I mean, it's so quiet. Listen. Other than hearing that little bit of supercharger whine, you couldn't even tell that this is a performance sedan, other than the gobs of torque that you have under your right foot and the fact that you're driving a 6-speed manual transmission. It is so quiet. Exhaust wise, I mean, and it's very refined here on the interior. I mean, considering this car is now almost, what, 16 years old? Very refined ride. Let's hit this bump. Even though it's a performance sedan, it doesn't shake your teeth apart, you know, and that's due in part to the magnetic ride control system that they have here on the V. All right, my GoPro's battery died, but I feel like everything in life happens for a reason, because I looked to my right after where I pulled off and boom, green Lamborghini Urus. I mean, what are the chances of seeing an Urus just in the random driveway that I pulled into? Acceleration. You buy this, you're definitely gonna have to put some new tires on it, because these ones don't want to hook. They're basically solid as a rock. But this thing has plenty of power. Considering this thing's 16 years old, I mean, this thing's gonna keep up with cars coming out today, you know? I mean, it's just out. I love a brick nose F-150. It's just crazy to me how well this thing will keep up with a modern performance car. Spinning. That's why Cadillac is one of my favorite brands, right? They went from the V1 manual only, they went to the V2 manual with an automatic option finally, and then when they went to the V3, they went back to an automatic only. They went to an automatic only, which was kind of a letdown. Still, V3 is a fantastic performance sedan. I'm not taking anything away from it. It's just nice to have a manual transmission option, and that's what I love about Cadillac is they went back to the drawing board, they listened to us, and then they came out with the CT-5V Blackwing, and then that thing's got a 6-speed manual transmission, and that is one of the only, with the CT-4V Blackwing, one of the only 2 manual performance vehicles that GM offers. I mean, look at the Camaro, boom, the Camaro's dead. Look at the C8 Corvette. None of the C8s have a manual option. They're all dual clutch only. So the only brand that GM has that has a manual transmission is Cadillac. What are the chances of that? I love the V division. Whoo, she will get swirly. And that's doing parts of these tires, and it's also a little cold out, but man, it is spinning like crazy. You put a good tire on this thing though, it will hook. I guarantee you it will hook. This thing is such a joy to drive. I mean, I literally feel like I'm driving a Corvette. It feels like that. I mean, that's the experience that you're gonna get with a V product, and then also the new Blackwing product. Man, that supercharger or that power really kicks in at about 3,200 RPM. It really starts to pull right there. And me, I only have naturally aspirated cars. I have a 2010 Camaro SS, it's got a cam, and then I also have my C6 Z06. It's just a big naturally aspirated 427. So I don't really dabble too much in superchargers, though I want one. And if I had the money, I'm telling you right now, if I had the money to buy this right now, I would. 100%. Low mile, one owner, old man owned, probably never ripped on really. CTS-V. Thing is an absolute joy to drive, guys. Oh my gosh, this thing is so much fun. And that's the thing, you know, you go back to these cars, I feel like this was kind of like the golden age of modern performance cars. I think that is new. And the reason being is this is raw. It lets you spin. I mean, this will let you, with the push of that button right there once, it'll let you get in trouble. And you can get in trouble quick with this kind of power and a manual transmission. I'm telling you, you can get in a lot of trouble quick. And that's why I think these are some of the best cars to buy. Not only, you know, CTS-V, but like the C6 Z06, C6 Z01, Camaro ZL1. Like, listen. But from like 2005 to 2015, that's like peak muscle, raw, with all these physical buttons. So I think this stuff's gonna age a lot better than like the new CT-5V Blackwing with the big touch screens and all that kind of stuff. I think this is what's gonna age much better, and I think this is gonna look better long-term than the new stuff that they're coming out with all the screens and stuff. And also, it just gives you, it's a different experience from the new stuff. It's similar, obviously, but it's different because it's raw and you can hurt yourself. Yes, you can hurt yourself with a new one too, don't get me wrong, but something about this. This is very, very fast. It's the perfect, I mean, this thing is literally kind of perfect from factory. Just an absolute joy to drive this thing, guys. I mean, I'm having a blast. I don't really have anything that's supercharged, and this makes me want to get something that's supercharged. I've always loved the CTS-Vs, I've always loved the Blackwings, but I've never driven. I've driven a V1. I've never driven anything newer than a V1. And this with a supercharger, the LSA. I'm sure the LT4 is also fantastic. It's just an overall fantastic driving experience. And what's so good about the CTS-V 2 is that, yes, you can get it with a manual. There are very few manuals, but you can get them for under $50,000. I mean, this is a bargain for under $50,000. But you guys got to think about, you know, this was only a $62,000 vehicle MSRP, brand new back in the day. So it hasn't depreciated all that much. And it's still a fantastic driving experience. It's still plenty quick. It's still going to make you have so much fun, but just for a lot less money. This same car in today's day and age, what, 100 grand, $110,000? I mean, and this could be had for less than half. That's why the V2 is such an option, guys. Such a great option. If I had the money, I would be taking this home with me today. But if you're lucky enough to have $44,000 lying around, guys, please go buy this, go enjoy this. This is looking for a long-term owner. It's looking for somebody who's going to drive this car because, look, it's basically brand new, 16 years later. More Cadillac here in Chantilly, Virginia. Ask for Mike.Dwyer. If he sees this and he sees that I sold it, he's going to be very happy, and he's going to let me do videos with other V and Blackwing products, guys. Please go out and snatch this thing. If it was me, I would 100% do it today. But unfortunately, I just don't have money like that. So maybe with you guys watching, with you guys sharing this video, I can. I'm also posting this video, a little bit of the snippets of this video on TikTok as well. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please, obviously, comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. That really helps me grow my channel. And then also, if you want to support me even further, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at 703speed. That is what allows me to do videos like this. So if you enjoyed my commentary, you enjoyed the video, please support me in any way that you can. I would greatly appreciate, guys. I'm back to posting routine videos. I love you all so much. Thank you for the support. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.